I like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called iBoy. When shards of a cell phone get lodged into a teenager's brain, he discovers he can control electronic devices and uses his newfound power for revenge. So it's a sci-fi mystery movie that came out 2017. It's an hour and a half long. Spoiler alert, let's get it. So it starts out with this guy, Tom, and his friend Danny. They're just chilling, getting ready to go to school. He's talking to him about this girl named Lucy that he's always hung up on. And here we have Lucy. Oh snap, that's the sister from Game of Thrones. Yeah, Arya Stark getting movie roles, alright. The other sister played Jean Grey in that dumbass X-Men movie, but we ain't talking about that right now. Anyway, they get to talk and they go meet up or whatever like that. He lives with his grandma Susan, who tries to read him poetry and all this other stuff because his mom passed away. But he ain't trying to hear none of that and dips out. He leaves out to go meet up with Lucy. When he gets there, her brother's laid out and shit. And he gets there, he hears people in her room. Then all of a sudden, these dudes come out with masks going like, what the fuck is going on? They end up chasing him, but as he's trying to call 911, he ends up getting shot in the back of his head. I'm like, oh shit, is this nigga dead already? Turns out he survived the encounter. So apparently when he was shot, pieces of his phone or fragments of his phone went into his brain as he fell and hit the phone. Honestly, me explaining it doesn't even make any sense. It's like, how did it get through his skull? It's like, what the fuck? He's got this long scar on the side of his head. The whole time he's thinking about Lucy. So he's gonna see her and this motherfucker looking all cynical and shit. He gets to the house, Ben's all fine, he's good. Then he goes to check on Lucy. She seemed fine, but you can tell some shit went down. But as he's leaving, he keeps hearing these weird noises. He gets to the house and he can see computer waves, pretty much everything throughout somebody's phone. So within a certain proximity, he can see messages through people's phones, he can create sound waves. He can pretty much do whatever he wants throughout technology. Yeah, it's a sci-fi movie, just let it be. His boy Danny comes to talk to him. Oh, I forgot to mention, he was out for like 10 days. They walk and talk for a little bit, but I don't think he's going back to school just yet. Oh no, I take it back, he does go back to school. Lucy, however, does not. And in class, he really starts developing his powers there. He starts seeing messages through this crazy motherfucker's phone, who's texting his road dogs. And the messages have a lot to do with the incident that took place at Lucy's house. And it looks like they tried to take advantage of her. So now we can say he's got a good indication of who came to the house. Later that night, he ends up going to this party that Danny told him about. Meanwhile, Lucy wants to text him, but she's not ready to. And Tom is basically just getting information from everybody there. Then he gets up at Charlie's face again, you know it's time for beef. Then Danny gets in between the two. Danny's trying to tell him they're not the ones that did it, but Tom is like, yeah, right, okay. Tom's not fooled by none of this shit. Lucy starts texting Tom like, where you at, yo? But he was actually on his way to see her while she was texting. Later on, Tom stops hacking and networks through his mind. Next day, he starts following these niggas, and they take orders from this guy in the middle named Cuts. He got up dealing in illegal activities. Tom is on his vengeance tour, but what's he gonna do? Meanwhile, Lucy's getting text messages from an unknown sender. But unbeknownst to her, the unknown sender is Tom, who could basically just text message through his mind now. He doesn't even have to use a phone. This guy got some ridiculous superpowers. I guess he wants to meet up with her somewhere because she finally steps outside after like a couple of weeks. Or maybe she just wanted to be brave and step outside. Anyway, Tom's back at home looking through all these other guys' phones through his mind. And I'm guessing he's got a plan to fuck with them. Next day at school, he puts a projection on the screen of one of his goons about to jerk off on camera. Now, how he pulled that shit off without recording anything, I have no idea. He told Lucy it happened. That shit was hilarious. But then she's thinking to herself like, how did they even get up there? But he ain't gonna tell her that. He just told her like somebody was playing a prank or something. And she's getting text messages from an unknown person again, but we know it's Tom. And for a second, because of the conversation, I actually thought that she figured it out. But not yet. Because reading people's minds through technology is not something that you automatically go for as a first guess. Well, anyway, they go get something to eat. I guess you can call it a date. But after they date, though, and then come these clown ass niggas again. Talking about they heard what happened to her, and we feel sorry for her. But we know they did it. Tom ain't with the shits. He ready to lay the smack down, but he knows he's outnumbered right now. And the hacker's been picking on the dude so late, so they think that Tom is the hacker. But of course, they don't know nothing for sure. Afterwards, they let him go, and she takes her back home. Then for no reason, these niggas go out here and carjack somebody's car. But they end up getting locked inside it. Then the radio comes on, and a dark voice is talking to them, talking about who put you up to who's in charge. And then nigga snitch and said it was Cuts, he did it, he told us to do it. And that's when the doors get unlocked and everybody gets out. And then the car explodes. Well, who locked them in there? You know who locked them in there. Tom was in the cut. This nigga could control cars too? What the fuck? I'm trying to think to myself, what can't he do? So if you don't remember who Cuts is, he was the guy in the car that Kaz and Ellie wanted to go meet up with earlier. So they show Cuts and his boys in the crib just chilling and shit. Look at this artwork in the background. That's insane. Well, anyway, they look through their camera and see somebody pissing in their car. So they go out there to check on it, but it was a diversion so Tom could come in the apartment. This nigga starts blowing up shit with his mind. He was blowing up speakers, but one particular speaker didn't blow up. So he checked inside and it was crack in there. You know he about to take their stash? Cuts is like, what the fuck just happened? Scratch that. What another people? Then he goes back to chilling with his boo Lucy, and she asks Tom to come back to school with her together so they can both take the exams. He's like, man, you know I got you. But first he got to attend to some business. So this guy decides to cut up the grams, put it all in smiley face baggies, and secretly turns it into the police. Or puts it in certain areas where he knows they're selling it and sends an alert out to the police. And then they start rounding up niggas. They get his goofy ass too. And Tom has to have an alias, so he goes by the name iBoy. And that's why that's the title of the movie. I was thinking that because he could tap into iPhones, but he pretty much could tap into any damn thing. Then his grandma finds a knife in his joint. He's like, why are you flicking with knives? You playing around with knives? He should just say I need to defend myself. I mean, I did get shot and shit. All because he was just trying to see his girl Lucy. Cuts is still trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Then he gets a call for the boss man, L-Man. And he's not happy with shit going down on the streets. So he gets all his niggas together. He's like, yo, find this iBoy. I don't give a damn what you gotta do. Take phones, cell phones, computers, all that shit. He's like, I don't give a damn if you gotta slap up your aunts, nieces, nephews, cousins. They don't give a fuck. Then he calls Kaz over. He's like, yo, everybody got rounded up but you. What's good, yo? You good? Kaz like, I ain't no snitch. Fuck out of here. But we all know you did snitch, nigga. They let him go for now, but you know how this shit plays out. So anyway, people's places are getting ransacked. Tom's back at school and he's going through the messages on IG board and everybody's blaming iBoy for it. I'm like, what the fuck? Then he comes back home, it's police in his house. Because somebody done came through and ransacked his house. So he tells his grandma he gotta go handle business. But after he leaves, grandma decides to meet up with Danny and tells her like, man, just keep an eye on Tom, man. Lucy's texting the unknown guy and she's telling him I think she needs him to stop. And he's like, I ain't stopping, I'm doing this for you. And I think she's starting to catch on who the unknown guy is. So now he's following Cuts because Cuts supposed to meet up with Elman. But Cuts got smart because he threw away his phone before getting to the location. I don't know what he did, but he used his phone to look at the sky and figure out the connections of where he's going. I'm like, how? His powers are beyond ridiculous at this point. But anyway, he gets to this shipping yard, lays that smack down on this one guy, gets to his crate and burns a whole shipment of drugs. But then he gets ambushed and they get the stomp in. The only thing that saved him was Tom was sending out this high-pitched wave that was fucking up people's ears. And then he got away, but because he got kicked in his head, his powers were severely damaged as Lucy's still trying to call him. And because she couldn't reach him, Lucy ended up going to school and taking the exam by herself. Later on, he called to her, but she was pissed off at him. But she wasn't pissed off at him for long when she turned around and seen Kaz hung up on the second floor, done deal dead as shit. Oh, that's snitching. You knew they was gonna get him. They was too lenient with him, yo. He goes to speak to Danny again. He's like, man, this shit gotta stop, man. When's this gonna end, yo? Fucking Kaz, man. So he goes to the doctor. He wants this thing to be taken out of his brain, period. The doctor can't do anything about it because most of the parts are cemented into his brain at this point. He goes back to the house, and when he gets there, he's got a gun pointed at his head. And the L-Man is sitting in his kitchen along with Cuts. And the grandma knows him, but how? Apparently, L-Man back in the day dated his mom. So L-Man's like, basically, stop fucking around, put the money back in my account, let's get it. And if you refuse, I'll basically just kill Lucy, who his boys have currently tied up in a warehouse. And then L-Man looks at him, he's like, yo, you want to know who really ratted you out? Who was it, Kaz or one of your other goofy-ass henchmen that figured it out? Nah, it was your boy Danny. Oh, shit. He sold him off for the money that cashed the green. He knows he's wrong, that's why he can't look at him. But bottom line is, Daddy, you fucked up. So while he's putting the money back in the account, he doesn't know that he's actually making a call to the warehouse for the police to get there. So they figure it out and they gotta hide the girl. They hide out and the police came and went. But these niggas dropped a damn gun. Now Lucy got the gun pointed at all these niggas. And we found out these guys used to all be cool at one time, but now not no more. And then on top of that, those three were the one that raped her that night. Bottom line, they all pieces of shit. Then they all get to the warehouse, they all got guns. Yep, back to being a hostage again. Now he goes back to Tom, like, Tom, finish putting out my money in accounts. But because Tom was getting kicked in the head so much, it's getting harder for him to do it. And I don't know how he did, but somehow he sent electric shocks through all their phones and gets this girl free. Then outside his one-on-one beef become Tom and L-Man. Right when he's about to finish Tom off, Lucy bangs off a shot. Then he sends off an electric current through his ass. I don't even know how he did that. This guy just has all types of powers. Next thing you know, he wakes up in the hospital next to his grandma. He finds out all them niggas got locked up, they done deal. He meets up with Danny. Danny tries to atone for the sins. He's like, look, I don't even want the money, you take it. He's like, no, you keep it. I ain't coming after you, but I can't trust you. And he goes on about his business. Then he goes up to the rooftop, meets up with his boo. He gets the loving, and that's how it's going down. And there you have it. This nigga had powers beyond powers. It was crazy. iBoy on Netflix. Check it out. Like, click, subscribe, do all that. You're on the top of this. Slick easy, out easy, mister. Sister, get in. Ha ha ha. Big. Get the goddamn slogan.